I lost the first 60 pounds less than 2 months. So it took less than 2 months to lose those 60 pounds.
But as we go into the 21-day challenge, because I do want to talk about that, it sounds like you had a really amazing experience. What was your mindset as it relates to getting certain tools? Because we offer a certain protocol. There's a 2-week protocol for preparation. There's certain tools we suggest. There's certain therapies we suggest. I want you to just kind of describe your experience with that information. Did you do everything? Did you choose certain things to do, and how did you what were the results?
Um, yes, my journey for the 21-day challenge was amazing. And if there is one thing that I got from this that I advocate to all of my personal friends, especially with whatever type of fast or whatever type of diet program that they're dealing with, I tell them prep work. And a lot of times, for the friends who are keeping tabs on me as far as for when I was going through the long 21-day water challenge, they would say, how did you do it? How do you do it? Like, because I would keep my little weight. Certain people, I would just tell them, hey, I've lost this amount of weight, or hey, I'm X amount of pounds away from this particular, mini goal that I have set up. And the man said, what did you do to do this and that? And the first thing that comes out of my mouth is prep work. I do the prep
Mm,
work. I mean, I can't stress prep work any more than how often we talk about how important it is. So when it comes to that gradual decline of cutting back on certain foods and making sure that you incorporate more of the healthy foods, and then the last few days when you're going from the solids to the juicing, and then that last day you switch over from the regular juice to the good green juice, the way it's almost as if you're not worrying about your calories at that point, just taking some nutrients in while your body's still adjusting. It makes it so much easier when you start going through it, because I've done it several times myself without prep work. And this is why I didn't have too much of a struggle mentally coming into this, because before I got a chance to do challenges with you guys, I had already went through those rough patches on my own
ah.
of just jumping into a fast. The worst thing you can do is have your last meal, your little victory meal before you start your journey, and the next day you're like, all right, I'm gonna start fasting. Nah, bro, that's the worst way to start. Worst way. You got your body trying to dump all the stuff out your body, on top of it trying to now start the detox process. Don't it's You get to a point where it's like, if you don't have to go through the uncomfortableness, don't. If this
Mhm.
is for your health and for your personal goals you have set forth, you're not going to worry about the time limit. You're going to be happy with what you're doing, because you know that this is going to take me to where I need to go, even if it's a small step. So with the prep work, yeah, making sure that I follow that reduction in the food to juicing before we start the fast definitely helps. When it
Mhm.
comes to, I mean, at this point, the processed food and the junk food is like an automatic given. It's like we got our small little vices here and there, but for the most part, it's got to be a hard, fast no, man. Especially if you're the type of person that has digestive issues, or if your body reacts to certain types of processed foods you eat. So, I mean, and one of the biggest things that I've experienced, it is amazing how much your taste buds and what your body craves for regular
Mhm.
plant-based foods once you get stuff out your system. Chris, this is something that I have been wanting to actually share for the last 2 weeks. And because I've experienced myself, it's like I don't believe it when people say I have cravings. I'm like, at this point, I'm like, no. If you're saying that you're having cravings, usually it's probably something still in your system that shouldn't be in your system, or the wrong thing reaching for the wrong thing that's craving for that. Because
Mhm.
once you get that stuff purged out of your system and you support your system with
Mhm.
the good, healthy foods that you don't realize your body actually wants, it starts to slowly get better. Two quick examples from me. I grew up all my life not liking tomatoes at all. If it's like, a grilled cheese tomato or tomato soup, no problem. If it's diced up small and salsa, no problem. But tomatoes, ugh, gross. I would be completely against them. Don't want them at all. Don't even have a care for them. The last 2 weeks, especially when we was going through this fast and things are purging and getting out of my body, it will happen at least once every 2 days. Just this little soft little image in my head will pop up of just some grape tomatoes or some cherry tomatoes, and I'm thinking tomatoes, ew. But instead of me going ew, all of a sudden my mind's like, mm, that actually looks kind of good. Or just, I wonder how that would taste. And I was, and one day I took a moment, I'm just like, what in the world is wrong with me? And then a little voice kicked in and it was like, nah, bro, ain't nothing wrong. That's good. You want that. You want that. And so
Wow.
with this past refeed for the last today and for yesterday, tomatoes don't bother me. They actually
Wow.
taste good. I'm still a little, I still got a little bit of the hesitant memory there, but
Right.
like today and yesterday, had my nice big old salad, had some cherry tomatoes in there, didn't bother me. Actually tastes good. It happened with that, and avocados was one thing it happened with. I can only eat
Oh.
avocados if it was, in guac or if I couldn't see it. That whole texture, if I'm real
Mhm.
big on textures, I couldn't do it. Just if a smear of avocado got on my hand, it would make me gag. I'd be like, ugh, I can't do that. Now, not a problem. On my
Right.
salad today, take the avocado, just take the spoon, take some slices. I'm eating chunks of avocado with the other stuff in the salad, and it tastes good. I'm
Yeah.
like, you tell me that's not something good? No, that's some good healing that's
Mhm.
going on to get things back. So prep work that helped. Some of the tools like essential oils and the root brand products. Of course, I'm going to talk about the root brand products and the essential oils. Root, those products are in one word, game changer. If
Mm.
we have some people that they're fine without the supplements, and that's good. And then we have some people like how I am sometimes, where it can be a little rough depending on what wave of detox symptoms we're going through. It can be a little rough trying to adjust to not taking in stimulants that's bad for us, but we're still looking for something to give us a little bit of a boost when we might need it. You
Mhm.
know, when I from the jump when I started with the R72, I got a chance to try out a little sample package that was made by you guys with just starting because I always tell myself I've never been big on supplements,
Right.
and some of that has had to my thinking has had to change and adjust over these last few months just to make sure that I understand and I'm not being biased with a particular viewpoint just to spend money, but and one of the things that I really like about the Root products is they heal. They don't just do stuff, they heal. I mean,
Right.
can you imagine how powerful that is to actually spend money on a product that works for you, but to also know that it's not a forever product if you don't
Mm.
need it to be? It can help you heal things. I'm like, that's amazing. Like, why wouldn't you want to just try it out? So, I mean, and so I use that. So I took a break from Clean Slate because I like to know what it's like to experience things fully clean, no help at all, and then I like to know what that experience is like when you have that support system. So,
Mhm.
so my next order has clean slate in it. So I took a break from it because I just wanted to just see. I just wanted to me personally see what those different experience levels are. But I tell you, when I was going through the 21-day fast, and I know in our community this won't be too TMI, so I won't get too TMI with it. But a lot of people talk about, BMs, bowel movements, and a common question that a lot of people actually ask is, "It's been a few days and I haven't gone to the bathroom. Why?" And it's just like, well, there's a reason why. I mean, we have videos we can watch on that. The coaches have given us information that more, a couple of times, but you're not eating, so things are going to, slow down. But it was one particular week. I think it was like at the end of the second week, and I was like, the first day I was like, okay, I haven't gone. I'm not gonna worry about it too much. I will go like every day, maybe not much, but I will go. Whatever comes out,
Mhm.
comes out. 2 days went by, and I was like, man, I haven't gone in 2 days, and I understand I don't really have anything in the system, but I'm just like, I kind of got this little feeling that like I need some help, and I'm jumping the gun a little bit because I'm supposed to be talking about what happened when I used the root product. So let me back up. So
Oh,
this happened I want to say during the R72. I know this happened, or maybe at the beginning of the 21 day. I don't know. Sometimes I get fasting memory loss. But
yeah,
anywho,
yeah,
I
I know.
know I used Restore and I used, Restore in the little sachets and
Mhm.
I used Clean Slate. That was when I knew that I wasn't feeling all that great and something needed to happen, but I was still new to learning that when you detox and sometimes after you have a BM, you can feel a whole lot better. And I went ahead and did a double portion of the Restore and the Clean Slate that day because I was like, I've gotten used to using it. My body is familiar with if I take a double dose, let me just go ahead and do that. And that made such a big difference in helping my body to eliminate.
Mm.
And it was a real good elimination. I felt almost 20 times better
Wow.
once it got out of my system. And, you know, TMI again, but you gotta monitor you gotta monitor your poop. You don't
Yeah, you
just
do.
sit and flush and don't have a look at it.
Have a
And
look
so
see.
looking at you know, and so I was like, and I was like, yeah. So I was like, yeah, that needed to go. That needed to come out. But that stuff, it works. And I know I've heard from some people that say I've tried it and I haven't felt anything. And one of the things that I have learned from personal experience, just because something doesn't work the first or the second dose that you try does not mean that it is not working. You just have not been able to physically or bodily feel what's happening, but it's doing something in your system. You just got to be consistent with it. Consistent
Right.
is a big key in all this. If you're consistent with it, just be patient. That's the one thing about the body that I love. The body loves consistency, and if you give it time and give it
Mm,
patience and be patient with it and work with it, it will give what you've been waiting for it to give. You just have to be
mhm.
patient and wait for it. But yeah, going through the 21-day challenge, preparing is so important. Even if you're if even even if you're a fat adapter, as some people say, you're gonna experience faster. And you say, I just came off a 40-day fast, and I'm gonna jump back on it again. Still do your prep, bro. Still do your
Right.
prep. You have no idea what has been released in your body that's trying to get out, or what your body wants to get out.
Mhm.
And if you just keep with the consistent tool, you can't go wrong. You can't. So the prep work, the supplements, the root products, and the essential oils, I needed those about when I was about midway through the 21-day challenge. Um, I suffered from a bout of gout back in like late 2018, early 2019.
Mm.
I thought that was my only main experience with it, because I've had other foot, and joint issues over the years, because I have, other health issues and stuff going on. But over a span of like months, still happens every other month or every month to a regular basis now. I had no idea, so I decided to just go to a doctor and get it checked out. He was like, it looks gout. And I'm like, I thought I left that I thought I left that alone all those years ago. You mean tell me all this pain I've been having has been flare-ups happening again? And now I'm at the point where it's like, I don't want to take the medication if I don't have to. I have it
Right.
as a backup in case it gets really bad, but I don't want that to be the crutch that I lean on to. I'm already trying to clean stuff out of my system.
Mhm.
And at that point, I knew Shell was like, our go-to person for the essential oil. So I reached out to her and I was like, I think I'm ready to go ahead and get me a little, a little doTERRA starter kit or something, because this flare up is getting worse, and I really don't want to be on a medication unless if I don't have to, and I just want to find a natural type of relief. And she gave me such good, clear directions on not to just what to use, but on what it does. And that's why I was like, I know it's out there somewhere. Don't spoil it for me too much. I know I'm in pain and I know I need help, but I still got to read it for myself. I still got to go look it up so I can just be like, okay, I know I see it myself.
Yeah.
So I did that the same day, confirmed with her. And once my oils and everything came in, she gave me my own little, recipe concoction of which blend to use, where to put it on, where the pain hurts, how to use it on my skin. I mean, she gave me everything she told me to do, I did.
Mm.
And the relief that I felt it was amazing, especially that kind of being my first. I mean, this is like really like my first experience actually using essential oils for myself.
Right.
And I told her, and I told my mom and a couple other people, that was the first night that after I had massaged my feet and calves and everything, and when I went to bed, that's the first time I actually put lavender essential oil in the diffuser, because I had a diffuser, but I would mainly use it to humidify my room because it's dry
Mhm.
air. When I put that in there, when I tell you, when I woke up surprised. I woke up and I was like, huh? I was like, I know I was asleep, but I was like, it feels like the best sleep I've had in a long time. I was thoroughly surprised, and I was
Yeah.
like, just a few drops of me sniffing that throughout the night in the diffuser made that big of a difference. It wasn't the gout issues; they were helped. They were helped a lot, but I'm talking about just it was almost haphazardly. Oh well, I put some on my feet. Let me go and put some in the dropper since I'm going to bed anyway, so I can sleep good. To say it's supposed to make you feel good and everything. That right there was a turning point for me, because I was like, who knew? Of course, people know, but you're asking yourself, who knew something as simple and
Mhm.
easy to use like this made such a big difference? So I'm like, yeah, you better believe I'm sharing this with friends and other people. I had another friend. She just went on vacation. She's one of my fasting buddies, but she's currently on vacation right now. But before she went on vacation, she had a couple of health issues come up. She's on her own little fasting journey. We're trying to get better with water fasting. She's done good with now. It's no problem for her to fast for 48 hours. She's trying to go further along, but she would have a couple of things here and there. I don't know. A couple of times she said didn't quite finish her fast the way she wanted to because she stopped because of headache or whatnot. But by then I was reading about essential oils, experiencing it, and I was like, I cannot let my friend just walk by and be in pain, especially me not saying anything. And so
Mhm.
I reached out to her. I shared it with her at first, and I can relate. When you're being newly exposed to something, you may not make a change right away. You may sit
Mhm.
on that for a minute. You may sit on that longer than what you wish you could have. But so after about 2 weeks, she said she had like another fasting relapse. She didn't do it the way she wanted to, and I was like, nah. I was like, it's like when you have a good friend, you look after your friend, especially when they're
Yeah.
one of your good friends. So I was like, yeah, we're gonna look after you. It's one of those things you don't tell them, you just surprise them. So I was like, let me go back on the tour. Let me go ahead and get her a sample kit. So I'm gonna get her a sample kit. Let her start off with that. Once you get started with that, the word is yours. You can do what you want. But
Mhm.
let me at least get you started with what the help you need. Sometimes we know we need the help, but sometimes for whatever reason it may be, we
Yeah.
just can't take that first step. Sometimes a little help can just be very helpful. Helped her with that one, big game changer for her. She used that to help with sleep. She used it to help with cramps. She used it to help with headaches, with your breathing. I even used it when I had some chest congestion, when I was dealing with not quite heart palpitations, but it was like for some reason I was a bit more anxious than what I thought I should have been. Essential oils help with that. It's almost like when I'm chatting with folks in the AHA community, especially when we were in the thick of doing a challenge and people going through detox waves,
Yeah.
it's like, hey man, you got to make yourself a toolkit box. Don't forget the tools that you got. And even if you say you've been using them, whether you decide to take a quick break and try something different or you stick with it, just don't forget you have a whole box of tools at your disposal.
Mhm.
Maybe you have to invest in some tools. If that works for you and you want it to work for you, make that take that step forward. I'm at the point now where it's like I'm not worried about second guessing things anymore. I've experienced enough of the healing, enough of the good benefits where it's like, yeah, I know where I need to be. I know where I want to be, and we're not interested in that over there. We're not going to work on that. And for the people who are in my circle, who are still part of that, we'll just gradually work on helping them with that. But yeah, that's helped me a lot with the 21-day challenge, doing the prep work. I like using the root products. I don't use them on a daily basis right now because right now I don't have that need for it. Do I need for it?
Right.
And that's what I love about it. When I have that need for it, I can just reach right out for it and go ahead and grab
Mhm.
it. So having those supplements on demand, having my essential oils. I mean, I started out with a little kit, and yep, I take it wherever I go. But went ahead and upgraded me to a nice little
Oh.
box. You start looking, some oils you may need to start refilling. You may want a couple of
Yep.
extra ones, you might want about other ones. And the little kit it comes with is nice, but I was like, man, we need some more space. It ain't gonna
Yeah.
work. So I was like, gee, I think that's a worthwhile treat. Let me treat myself to a nice little essential oil case so I can, put my goods in there.
Man, when
Um,
when I very first learned about essential oils, I bought all of them. I bought all
I
the
can
oils.
imagine.
Bro, I'm just like you. Like I like to immerse myself, and what I have found by doing that is, you know, I can look, okay, what oil be good for this or what oil, and I already got it. I can try it. I don't gotta wait for it to ship or what. It was a huge investment, but I needed to take that leap of faith because I wanted to, if this was gonna be beneficial for the community, I wanted to have personal experience with it. So I was like, let me dive all the way in, and then that way I can share. Um, one of my friends was telling me the other day that they have regular like nightmares, and um, years ago I had given a sample of juniper berry to Justin Howe. Justin's been on the show a couple times. You know, people know about him, and I gave him the sample for something completely unrelated, had nothing to do with nightmares, but he took it. But at the time, he had been having nightmares for like 6 months. So he took it and he noticed, oh, dude, I didn't have a nightmare last night. And I was just like, what? That's not even the
Right.
reason why we gave you that oil. And it was
Right.
like, you know what I mean? We learned this off benefit, or I mean, I guess it's a benefit. I just didn't know it was a benefit. Um, so I wanted to be able to have those experiences so I could help people. I mean, hemorrhoids, man. I got hemorrhoids one time in my life,
Woo.
and it was
I hear
because
those
of
are pain.
I was fasting, came off ate more than I should have. It was a mess. And I learned about that pain, and then I found cypress oil is amazing for hemorrhoids. Like
Wow. It's
so
just
so
amazing, all these different things, natural.
yeah, you don't have to take the creams and the drugs and the things that are gonna have side effects. And it's like people look at my investment in the oils, be like, "Oh, that was you were crazy." No, if you ever had hemorrhoids, and if you ever had hemorrhoids and there was an oil that could help eliminate that, you would pay the price because
Yeah, you
hemorrhoids are
would.
terrible. You know, I got out. I've been doing a lot in my garden recently, and I usually don't get bit by bugs, but I was just out there all day working in
Mhm.
manure and dirt and stuff, so the bugs bit, and I was like, let me get some lavender. Put a little lavender on it. 20 minutes, the bite, the irritation, gone. You know what I'm saying? Like
I
it's
mean, yeah.
having that toolkit available is just it's a game changer. So whether it's essential oils, I'm the same way with the root products. I typically have the Trinity kit. That's typically what I get. But the Zero In, I don't use it every day. I use it certain times when I know I can greatly benefit from it. Or the Restore, you know what I mean? I know if I'm gonna go get a colonic, or if I need to have a bowel movement, or if my stomach is just act, because I'm not perfect with my diet and my habits. So I use these to support me. The clean slate, I pretty much take, I pretty much take that one daily, but I cycle on and off. You know what I mean? Like I'll cycle on and off. But yeah, man, I think it's important to have the tools, make that investment, be willing to follow instructions, and give yourself that experience. So now oh, this is a viable option for me. Um, I wanted to give you the opportunity to kind of cap your experience with the 21-day challenge. Talk about, what it was that you experienced as far as the benefits, and, anything that you kind of wanted to tell us. I know you were kind of holding back a little bit. Anything you want to tell us about that 21-day challenge, go ahead and let it loose.
Um, I will say this from the outset. The 21-day challenge, especially if you haven't done it before, the whole experience, we're talking about from the liver and gallbladder flush to the prep week moving into the fast, going through the fast, and then having tools that can help you to deal with symptoms you may be dealing with, like detox symptoms, emotional well-being, mental well-being. It's a beast.
Mm,
It's a beast, and I don't say this with any shade or any shame, but
yeah.
the last few days of it, when I was reflecting over what had happened so far, because it was pretty much over by then, I had told myself, this isn't something that I'm just going to just do out of nowhere. This isn't something that you just pick up and say, I'm just going to just do the 21-day fast. I says no. I says, having gone through this the first time, of course I needed everything that came along the way. I says, but if I was to really consider doing this again, I said, this is probably something that I probably would consider as an annual type of event for me personally, because this sets me up for many additional things health wise that I would
Mm,
want to take care of throughout the coming months, throughout the rest of the year. And depending on where I am in my wellness journey as I come around to a year again to it, if I feel as though we have a lot more work to do and I can really benefit from those things that it pulls out, yeah, let's do it. But this isn't something that I would just say for the faint of heart to try. Don't get me wrong, it is a great challenge to try. But this is
yeah.
one of those challenges you don't just scroll through a page and say, "Oh, a 21-day fasting challenge." I mean, but let's go ahead and do that and start that tomorrow. Nah, man. I mean, you want to have success and you want to do it well, prep well. If you
Mm,
prepare well, you're not preparing for failure, you're preparing for success. So prepare for it. So me personally, I would say the first 5 days. No, let me take it back. The first. 8 days I would probably say felt like the roughest. The first 3 days, my mind is accustomed that when I go through a fast, the first 3 days is always going to be the roughest. Just stuff coming out of the body, especially if you didn't 100% prep the way you would have wished you would have prepped. This time I did, so I'm good with that. But the first few days, I expected to be a little rough. Day 4 and 5 got some clarity. I was feeling good, and I was hearing some other folks talking about the low energy, the fatigue, and I was like, I ain't hit me yet. Oh, something by the end of day 5, day 6, that jugger hit, and when that thing hit, I was like, dude. And I've set certain personal cues with myself so that I don't forget how I'm feeling. So when certain cues get met, it's like, let's focus on what we're feeling right there. And so I have a cue for myself that if at any time my energy level feels like I wish I was in the bed or somewhere where I need to just lay down, that's abnormal. So when
Mm,
I started feeling that, I was like, okay, this must be that low energy they're talking about. And I'm like, okay, so this low energy, I got to deal with that. And then people was talking about heartburn. I'm like, I ain't had no heartburn. And all of a sudden, I started getting heartburn and the burps and everything. And I don't know about anybody else, but I caught like the hiccups for like 2 days straight. I'm like, hiccups are
mm,
horrible. But I kept telling myself, and this is good to have a community for when you're going through these different waves. It's good to be reassured you weren't going through this before the fast. You weren't going through this while you were fasting. You understand while you're going through this process, your body will detox and things will come out. You will have waves, you have highs, you have lows, and it can vary depending on each person. But
mm.
for this particular one, just realize it's not going to last forever. It can feel like it lasts forever because you're dealing with it every second, every minute. But guarantee the moment you feel better, you notice it and you're like, oof, I feel so much better. It's like,
Yeah.
man, it feels so good to have some energy. So having time on my hands is sometimes a scary thing for me because I'm like, what am I going to do all my time? I kind of have my structure set up right now. I get the majority of my stuff that I need done in my life done when I'm outside of the house during the day, during my work hours, do all that. When I'm at home, that's my personal sanctuary. That is my time for me to chill,
Hmm.
relax, recharge, and having all that extra time being at home. Of course, you can clean up a little bit here, work on that. But I was like, I'm a bit more interested and focusing on this. So it gave me a lot of time to focus on this mental game. And what I thought I had, one of those, solid iron mental fortitudes, I was like, no, we found some creeks along the way. We found some cracks along the way.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I really liked the most was, man, it felt good to detox emotionally. I was
Mm,
able to emotionally detox a lot. And what I've learned, because I've done a whole bunch of reading the last few months, but what I've learned a lot is it's so amazing how thoughts can transform into physical things in our body. The average person just thinks, I'm just thinking that I'm mad. I just feel mad. How's it going to make me sick? Dude, that has a profound effect on how your body translates and bring things into reality, so to speak.
mhm.
So it was like I know the last few months I had dealt with a lot. I kind of shared in the community, dealing with dog issues, dealing with car theft, breaking issues, and health issues with the gout. It's like one after another. And for me personally, years ago, I set up a certain mental pattern for me because I don't like dealing with confrontations. I don't like dealing with the negative and all that stuff. So I know I have to deal with it, but I don't want to dwell on it. So I have little hacks where I can deal with what's important right now and the rest can go on the shelf because I just don't need to worry about that right now. So when I started feeling a certain type of way physically with my breathing and my chest feeling heavy and what felt like heart palpitations, like I can't get enough air, I was like, I only felt that twice before in my life, and that was like when I went through a brief stint of dealing with depression. Some things you experience you never forget, especially for you as
Mhm.
an individual. And when I was going through that, I was like, I kind of prepared myself before going into the fast. I was like, we're kind of good on the mental game, we're good on the food game, we're getting better on the physical game, but of course the emotional game, I always have that under control, but 100% is not under control because the rest is just tucked away. So I
Right.
was prepared for that to happen, but when it manifested physically, it took me like 2 days to realize what was going on. And it was like, I feel like I can't catch my breath. It's like I just my chest feels heavy. And so when I have moments like those now, even if I'm on my way out the door to work and I feel like I can't think, I tell myself my health is more important than anything. I can afford taking a 5 or 10 minute break to be late to work to figure out what's going on with myself. hey, that sounds like a MEPS check, but on the emotional side. And
Yeah.
so I've been getting ready to walk out the door, and I'm like, this breathing is bothering me. I took my shoes off. I set my butt there right on the couch, and I'm like, we're gonna take 5 minutes. I give myself that 5 minutes because you can get a lot done in the 5 minutes. I give myself
Love
that
it.
5 minutes, and I'm like, dude, okay, something's going on with the breathing where it feels like it's heavy. And then I start going through my mind. Because when you're going through your mind, you can think really fast when going through your mind. And so I'm thinking, what have I experienced before that makes me feel like this? And I
Mm,
was thinking, and I was like, well, a couple of weeks ago we went through the issue with the dog, with the car, and stuff like that. So I was like, I could very well be detoxing that emotionally because I know that I didn't deal with it fully back then. Even
mm,
though it was just a couple of months ago or however long ago it was, I didn't fully deal with it. I just did enough because I was on the point of having a nervous breakdown. So I'm like, look, I'm not trying to go to the hospital. I don't need to call no emergency services. I just need to calm myself down enough and convince myself that it's not that big of a deal so we can keep moving forward in life. And I did that, but it wasn't enough. And so
right.
that's what came out. So I told myself, look, I know this is difficult and it's annoying with the whole breathing thing. And I just have to be consistent. Practice your breathing. So I watched my videos. I did my reading. I learned about breathing techniques. Jazz, she helps out so much with those breathing techniques that she gives. I started with that. Focus on the breathing, get some oxygen in, get the spent oxygen out, get your lungs working. Even if you have to monitor it every few minutes, do it because if you don't feel good, then your whole body don't feel good. I got to do what I have to do to help support my body. It's not going to last forever. It lasted for about a week and a half, but
Mm,
it was gradually going away. And now it's completely gone.
gone.
And I feel fully resolved those issues
Mm,
that I dealt with in the past. It's not like weighing on me or still sitting on the shoulder. So I really got to do a lot of emotional detoxing, which I needed. And
mhm.
there were other things that popped up there. I was like, where did that come from? I hadn't had thoughts about that for years, but I did
Yep.
some reading. I listened to some people's experience. So I was like, okay, I can't be completely surprised by that. But I really do think that a lot of people have to realize, some people do, but the majority of people unfortunately don't. You can't forget yourself emotionally when you're fasting. I mean, you're just not eating food. Your body's still doing everything else it needs to do, but there's a whole nother field of things it can do when it doesn't have to digest food. And a lot of that is healing stuff that we've tucked away and stored away for years, but they've manifested themselves in physical ways that we don't want to be in our body anymore. So we got to work on getting that out. So it was great for doing a detox emotionally. And it was cool at first saying 3 days, on scale. I mean, because I'll use a scale, I won't use a scale. I do it every day so I can just track my numbers. And so, it started off like the first week, it was like 3 pounds every day. Then, like in the middle of the second week, it started going to like 2 pounds a day, and I was like, man, these numbers are slowing down. And I was like, I remember what I was, listening and reading about with the shrink week and whatnot. But I was like, am I gonna be on track with the numbers that I want to lose by now? And so, and then like the last week and a half of the challenge, it was like 1 pound a day. And I couldn't believe I was like, I would get up in the morning and get on the scale. And at this point, I don't expect too much. It's just a number. So I just document the number in my journal. But I would look at it and I was like, I said, just another pound. I was like, just a pound. And then I think at the most, I think I made it had only about 3 or 4 days where that number didn't move at all. But if you're prepared and if you remember what you learned, you know what to expect. And of
Right.
course, the frustration is dealing with loose and big clothes and whatnot, and having to put some more holes in your belt and everything. So that,
Mhm.
that, that was the only frustration that I had, having to worry about, pants being loose and got to tighten the belt. I finally put some more holes in the belt the other day.
Yeah.
But I told myself, if the scale isn't moving, just do what they say. See how your body feels in other ways. And sure enough, my head shrunk, my wrist shrunk, uh, my waistline shrunk some more, uh,
Mhm.
just a little bit. But
Yeah.
overall, I was like, I'm not worrying too much about what the numbers say. I'm just focusing on how I feel and feeling better. And I know I don't have to worry about the detox symptoms, indefinitely, and that's going to go away once I break the fast for the most part. I says, but there was a lot that I got to accomplish mentally because physically that's going to come over time. But healing things, I mean, it may not make a big deal to a lot of people, but the fact that my taste buds want
Mm-hmm.
avocado, the fact that it enjoys eating tomatoes, the fact that I don't mind if I have to stand in my kitchen for 15 or 20 minutes chopping up my food to make my mesh to make my my vegetable, whether it's a raw meal or whether I'm going to make a soup or something. These days it doesn't bother me not one bit. And when I try
Mm.
to reason on it, the only explanation I can come up with is because I want to, because I care about what I put in my body. And if I know that I want to deliberately do good, then I need to deliberately put what's good inside of my body. And if at the very least I can't make a decision about what I want that's good and I want something bad, then fine, we'll just fast a little longer and eat at a different time then. Because if I can't make up my mind over whether I want the good or the bad, then we just won't have anything right now.
Nice. Bro, you have taken us on a roller coaster ride today, man.
Yeah,
Like
okay, I hope I ain't took up
the
all your time.
the detail and just the different angles and perspectives and everything that you've shown. This is you had an experience and I mean golly, like I'm just thinking, I'm thinking so far in ahead. I'm thinking of how people are going to view this, like how should I cut the content up, like like this is just more than I could have ever expected, which is always a nice surprise, you know what I mean? And all of this is what you were able to accomplish in 4 months of intentional work. Like
Yeah,
like
that that is, and that's one thing I literally have to say this to my mom and a couple of other friends who keep their close tabs on me with how I look and everything over these last few months. I have to tell them I actually need to hear you guys say things like what my face looks like or what things have changed, because that's another mental aspect that I
mhm,
personally am still working on. I do not see myself the way other people see me. I mean, I get up and I look in the mirror, every morning,
right.
and I may see some slight changes. I mean, there are a few things that I personally point out. I notice this, I notice that, but overall, to me, regardless of what anyone else says, when I look in the mirror, I still look just about the same to me. I know
Mhm,
I'm smaller, and I can pay more attention to detail on different aspects of my body. But I realized that, and I made sure that I acknowledged that to myself about a week and a half ago, because I was like, I don't see myself the way others see me, and I'm not saying that's a good or a bad thing. I'm just stating what I am observing right now,
mhm,
and I have to tell, because some people, when it comes to weight, some people are very sensitive. They say some people like hearing things about themselves. Me, I don't like too much attention. I don't like the spotlight at all. I don't mind sharing information. I can be invertive. I can be outgoing, extrovertive, or invertive, however the term goes, internal, external, whatnot. But the whole limelight and the spotlight, that's not really my jam. So I
mhm,
don't really. I mean, so most people know that you don't have to compliment me. You don't have to say X, Y, and Z, because it doesn't really phase me too much. But I tell them now, I need you to say things like that, because I won't pay attention to it, and it'll
mm,
just go right over my head.
yeah,
But so that's one thing that I'm working on. So and just one more thing I just wanted to mention before we close out, the whole thing about positive talk.
mm,
I focused on that so much more so during this 21-day challenge than I've ever done over the last few months. And I've always known there's a big difference between positive versus negative. And Stephen has helped a lot of people to realize this. A lot of us say I'm pretty sure you've mentioned it too. A lot of us say we can't do something and we haven't even tried.
mhm,
The majority of people is such in a pattern of, before you even allow yourself a chance to even think or vision that you can do something, you just automatically say, "Oh, I can't do that." It's always I can't, or a no, or
yeah,
X, and that really does make a difference on the smallest of scale. I mean, it's so helpful when we read certain books and it really resonates with us about how all of our cells make us up, and all of our cells, they're connected to our thoughts, whether we realize it or whether we think it or not. How we
mhm,
think and talk to ourselves makes a difference. It used to be a normal thing for me to say to myself in the past, man, I'm overweight. Man, I'm tired of being overweight. Man, I'm tired of having all this weight and this fat on me. I'm tired of dealing with this and dealing with that. And I don't know if it was you or Chris, but somebody said it, and they was like, how do you think your own body feels when it's striving and working so
Mm-hmm.
hard to keep you alive, to keep things functioning, the things our body does for us to keep us alive on a daily basis that people have no idea about, that we take for granted.
Yep.
How do you think your body feels when it's doing all of that and all it hears is you're terrible, you're bad, you're fat, you're this and that? How can you expect certain things to work with each other and help you if you're down talking your very own system that's supposed to work for you?
Mm-hmm.
So I focus so much on, even if it sounds negative in a joke way, me personally to myself, don't say it. Don't bother saying it, because the things we whisper in our thoughts and we say in our head, they linger around in there. Everyone knows the phrase, you can never forget the image you see. Well, that goes the very true for what you hear. What you
Yep.
hear and what you still tell yourself, it's all in there. It's not going to disappear and go somewhere. You can suppress it, you can change it, but if you don't, it's just going to sit there. You can try all you want to do the right things, do what people say to do, but if you're not going to take care of yourself and talk good to yourself, how can you expect yourself to even want to do good when you're just encouraging it to do bad? So I just want to mention that part. The whole personal talk and everything, whether you do it internally, externally, I don't care if somebody think I'm crazy. I tell people anyway, I probably got a little crazy in me. I guess that's what works for me. But I
Yep.
mean, you haven't seen me going to the loony bin yet. But
Right.
I mean, that makes a difference. And sometimes I have my moments where I slip up and I'll be saying something, and as soon as I catch it, I say, I was like, let's take that back, and I apologize to myself because it
Mm.
wasn't like I wanted to do that. And there's a lot of healing that needs to go on in the world, and so many of us just aren't exposed to it. And a lot of times we just need exposure to things to really help us. And that's really what has been my journey with AHA. It's been exposure. I've been exposed to things that I didn't know I wanted to look for. I didn't know I was looking for. And having that exposure has just, it's opened a can of worms, but this is a good can of worms. And we're not
Right.
even listening to worms. It's a good can of benefits that's been opened up.
You nailed it. You nailed it, man. And I've talked about this before. Your consciousness and your body, they are two different entities, and you really should be talking to your body and talking, quote unquote, talking to yourself, because the community, the little world that lives inside each one of us, they're tuned to our thoughts and our words, and they're listening, and they respond. That's the reason why, and maybe this will help it make sense for a lot of people. That's the reason why there is such a thing as a placebo effect and a nocebo effect. That's what
Yeah,
that's
talk
all
about
about.
it.
It's all about your thoughts. What do you believe is going to happen?
Hmm.
The body responds, whether it's quote unquote good or bad.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
we sometimes will use this negative self-talk as like a defense mechanism. Let me go ahead and talk stuff about myself so that when other people do it, it's like, I've already done that. You know what I mean? So we have to get out of that habit of being victims, of talking down to ourselves. And I actually noticed this when I was very young. I noticed that whatever people were called repeatedly when they got older, they became that thing. But even
Isn't
as
it true?
at that time, they were showing what that was. So like, you got to be careful about what you name your children. Like, what is the meaning of the name that you gave them? When you talk down to people, like, you call them stupid all the time. You're dumb. You're never going to be anything. Like those sorts of things. They grow up with like being that, you
Mhm.
know. And we don't
Yeah.
think, oh, we do that to ourselves. We do it to. That's the reason why people have such a hard time. You know, when I was younger, my grandparents thought they'd be like, "Oh my goodness, you guys are just whiz kids with these VCRs," and I don't understand. My mom be like, "I don't understand how he does it. They don't read, they just put it together." And in my head, I was like, "Yo, because this is super simple." But the
Mhm.
reason they couldn't comprehend it is because they had already decided they couldn't do it.
Mhm.
Like they had already made up in their mind that this was hard, it's new, I don't want to deal with it, I can't do it. And so now I'm like a genius, right? And so we have to be diligent not to do that. And I love the mindfulness. You are mindful of it. So now that you've made a decision that you're going to change, you want to positively reinforce yourself. So now when you do slip up, because that's going to happen and that's okay, you
Yeah.
catch yourself and you're like, oh, nah, let me change that narrative.
Yeah.
Um, that man, you dropped some major nuggets. Like I'm not even joking. This is one of the most in-depth reviews, wellness reviews I think that we've ever had. You touched on such a broad spectrum of different things where people could really dive deep. I mean, there's a lot of the things that we talked about where we could go dig even deeper.
Yeah.
I want to know as we kind of like close here, what are your goals as we move on in the future? You know, what are some of the things that you're looking to accomplish?
Um, I've been taking my time to actually think about that. And one of when Stephen was talking on one of the lives, he made something which was a reminder to me. Now is a great time, which I have been doing, to reflect, not just these past few months, but life in general, and to be honest with myself. Like I said at the onset, I've been over 300 pounds since at least 13 years old. So technically speaking, I've never really gotten a chance to experience what life is like to be under 300 pounds. I
Mm,
don't know, right off the top of my head, I don't know what life is like living at that lower amount of weight. I don't know what that way of eating is like. But what
mm,
I do know is that I have new habits that I've built. I have new desires and thoughts that I've been having. And so I still want to maintain a certain type of consistency that I've been doing. And when I say consistency, is not for just the weight loss. I am fully convinced that as I continue to go through my health journey and my wellness journey, the weight will restore itself to where it needs to be. The body is always trying to put itself in balance. Even right now, though I just finished lunch a few hours ago, the body's going to finish taking care of that and it's still going to do what it can to make sure balance is there. So for me, it's mainly just been saying, okay, the next big goal for me is let's go ahead and see if we can experience what life is like to be below 300 pounds. So, what I've done is I have what I call it's like a 3 cycle process. The third cycle is a little bit when I'm ready for it, but it's in phases of weight loss phase and detox phase. And the way I've kind of done it is I start off with the weight loss phase that started with the R72. Um, from this is what my journal is for, so I can look for because I put the date in here when I actually did it. So when did I lose the first 60 pounds? Because I started tracking my weight in my journal at January 15th. That's when I was like, that's the date we're going to start tracking it. Once I hit, let me see, I lost the first 60 pounds less than 2 months. So it took less than 2 months to lose those 60 pounds.
mm,
So I told myself, okay, whatever weight gets lost, I'm not gonna make a big crazy deal about. But it would be nice if maybe if we can duplicate that or maybe get something close to that. So technically speaking, after that first 60-pound loss, I only lost what 40 more pounds to get to the 100 weight loss. That's not I mean, that's a big deal, but that's not like, oh man, only 40 pounds. No, I'm like, that's great. That's 100 pounds. I'm 100 pounds lighter than what I was when I
yeah.
first started tracking. So right now I am deliberately taking things slow. And part of that for me is experiencing life 100 pounds lighter. So
Mm, yeah.
noticing on a day-to-day basis what problems I don't have anymore. Remember, I told you to have cramps on a regular basis. I mean, seriously, it would be like if I laugh or if I sneeze or look the wrong way, I get a cramp in my side, and it would be
Mm,
like one of those bad cramps. I would probably say since the middle, I think since the middle of the R72s in February, no more cramps. The
wow.
cramps, so I can move the way I want to and not worry about the cramps. I have a new thing though, which is kind of different. Being 100 pounds lighter, my laugh isn't quite the same. You know, when we laugh, the body moves, and so my body moves, but it feels different. So it's like all of a sudden I gotta find what the new norm for laughing is, small things like that.
Yeah.
But I'm deliberately taking time to enjoy what I like each day, to notice what's gone away, to pay attention to what's still there that I know I still want to work on, and what do I want my next particular phase to look like. So we're closing the chapter on this weight loss phase. In the beginning, it was weight loss. Then we did the detox because after the R72, I went ahead and did my first liver and gallbladder flush. And for people who's new to that, that's a completely new experience, and it can
Yeah.
seem weird the first time because it's like what, like huh? trust the
Yeah.
process. I would do it, but it's like, man, this is weird, but okay. And so going through that. So when we came up to the 21-day challenge, I was like, good. Now I'm ready to start my next weight loss phase because by then I was like, I'm ready to take a break from detoxing because I had went did a couple of different detox protocols with the in addition to the liver flush.
Mm,
So we're coming to the end of this weight loss journey. So the next one for me would naturally be a detox phase. But right now I'm thinking I might want to take that third one. I kind of just take it easy and kind of just coast a little bit. One of
mhm,
my biggest goals is learning. And I say learning because, it's really easy to unlearn something or forget something, but I'm learning to maintain what my current weight is once I after I complete each weight loss phase. So when I lost the first 60 pounds, that main goal was let's maintain it. I understand it may fluctuate, but I don't need to see it rising back up. I need to see it
right.
maintain. If it drops lower, cool, but just to maintain. And that's kind of where I am right now. Right
Mm,
now, I want to maintain the weight, and that means that it gives me time to focus on other things. When I was doing the fasting and everything, we focused definitely on hydration. When I'm doing my refeeds, we do a lot more juices so we can get the hydration in. And I noticed that definitely with my skin. But, and I say but because I'm not perfect and I make a couple of mistakes along the way. But right now, I noticed that even though I've been enjoying refeeding this week, I haven't been hydrating as much as I would have been if I was just fasting. Meaning, of
mm,
course, I'm getting my hydrating foods in. I'm enjoying good plant-based meals. I have no interest in the processed stuff. Like I already tried that once, and I was like, yeah, we don't like how it feel. We don't even like how it tastes anymore. So we can
yeah,
we good moving beyond that. I says, but I noticed I'm like, the food options are right, but I'm noticing that I was lacking on my hydration and making sure that I keep my hydration up.
got
And everyone has their own system and level what works for them, but I was like, I know what works for me too. And I know the difference when I have it and when I don't have enough of it. So I was like, I need to be more mindful of that. So I'm
mhm,
paying attention to things through this refeed, through the aftercare process, and a lot of stuff I'm able to make mental notes of. But I have another cue in mind if it's day two and I'm noticing something and I forgot it from the day before, I write it down or I make a note of it in a journal because that means I'm gonna forget it again and I can go look through my notes and I can and do that. But most of it now, I remember most of it and stuff that impresses in my mind. I make sure I make a note of that too, so I have that in my little journal. So my journal may look like it has some gaps here and there because that's how my flow is with it.
mm,
But I will probably say after this one, next week I'm going to do my next liver and gallbladder flush, but I'm going to do it the proper way this time. So I've done the first one after the R72 in February. I've done my second one when we did it when we first started. The 21-day challenge. We did the prep work for that one, and I have other reasons involved as to why I couldn't get to the colonic the way I wanted to. But the second time I did the flush, I made sure that I told myself we know why we couldn't get to the colonic this way, so don't feel bad if you don't get what you need. But if you don't see the results that you were looking for, and that happened this time that I didn't see the results I was looking for as far as for stones releasing,
mhm,
there's no need to feel bad. You still receive so much benefit from other things that got released and pushed out of the body. But that just lets us know it's a reason why it's always recommended to follow what's been given to you, especially
yeah,
if you're going to follow it. So then I was like, okay. And then also with the first colonic for in my area, the weight limit was an issue. So that was why I didn't do it the first time. I'm like, okay, I don't want to have no issues. Let me just wait. I've met that goal with flying colors, so I'm clear to go. I already
nice,
got the Kalana scheduled. So what next Friday? I have a Kalana scheduled. I'm doing my lunch break while I'm at work. And then that evening, coach, I like to start doing my liver and gallbladder flush on Sunday because I'm usually busy on Saturdays and Fridays, believe it or not, are usually the days I'm free. So I deliberately do not plan things on Fridays. So I've been that way for years. So this Sunday, I'm go ahead and start, prepping for it. Next Friday, I'll go ahead and do the flush. I get the colonic done. Hopefully, I get the results I'm looking for. If not, it's still going to be a continuous process because I'm not going to stop doing it until I know that I've released them, and for the most part, I'm not seeing more coming out. But I'm ready to enjoy life a little bit more. I have my 80/20 rule in place. I've had that in place for a good minute now, and that
mm,
works superb for me. And it works great for me because I know 80% of the time I'll be in control of what I'm going to have for my entertainment, for my social life, for my food. I can control it. I can bring my own food. People can come to my house. If we go out to eat places, it will be sparingly because I just naturally don't like to go out to
Mhm.
eat in restaurants because I don't really have any control over the food there. Some places you get good insight into that, some places you don't. But that's what the 20 little percent thing is for. Those off times where I'm hanging out with friends or we do go someplace, if they don't have the options that I'm looking for, okay, I can still make what good decisions I can, but I'm not going to beat myself up.
Right.
Sometimes you still got to enjoy life, and you still have to have, it's I don't know, it's that wholesome feeling that you still have to allow your body to have. Not saying that that has to always be done with bad food, but sometimes it's worth spending time with your friends and going out for that much needed R&R versus running about, oh, they ain't got the type of food I want. It's just
Right.
one. It's just one out of however many times we eat. But
Mhm.
um, but yeah, so I'm looking forward to enjoying life, continuing to lose weight, continuing to heal things internally, and I'm really looking forward to just doing more of what I've been pretty much kind of like introduced to with plant-based eating. I mean, one of the things that I really love the most, and I probably when I'm not fasting, I'm eating, I probably have this thought once a day, if not more than once. I just love how food is so simple and so flavorful and it
Mm.
tastes so good. I mean, the other day I decided to go ahead and treat myself to making, some fresh, pickled onions and some bell peppers and stuff to have with my salad and everything. And I'll never forget when grocery shop when I came home the other day, and for dinner, after I made sure the animals were fed, all I had was I took an avocado, I sliced it up, maybe mashed it a little bit. I threw some of my pickled onions on there and threw some Tabasco sauce on there and made a meal out of that. I mean, it was so simple and
Yeah.
so filling and it tasted so good. And I didn't have not one thought of thinking about meat or something, filling to have with the meal. And so I
Mhm.
just love it because I really enjoy experiencing what the body just naturally needs and wants. And I'm really enjoying that. So I'm looking forward to enjoying life and to continue getting better and really to, help whoever else needs help because I naturally like to help people. But within reason so you don't give too much of yourself because it can be it can be a little draining sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
But just learning to keep that in good balance and help other people because I mean we all want to see each other get to where we are with our goals. And if we can help, even if it's just by sharing some encouraging words or like, I love it when sometimes people in the groups, they know they're having a rough time. They know they're close to their limit and they just send a little SOS out in the group like, hey, I need some help. Hey, I'm going through X, Y, and Z. I'm really, I'm really about to cut loose. And sometimes it can just be somebody responding like, no, you got this. No, you keep going. No, you got us here. Let's talk about something else. And that can make a big difference in someone's
Yeah.
journey when they get ready to quit. So I like doing stuff like that too.
Man, you nailed it, man. Like I just like you got it. You gotta take that time to let your mental and your habits catch up to all of the work, the changes you've made, get comfortable in this new level that you've made it to. Make this home for you, and then once you've established that foundation, you can continue building on top of that.
That's
You
exactly
know,
what I'm doing.
keeping things moderate and not feeling like you got to do just go 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 extreme, like controlling the flow of things. Um, and yeah, I mean, you've mentioned the community many times. Yo, make sure if y'all are listening to this, make sure you join ahacommunities.com. Like it's just an amazing space. It's 100% AHA community members. You don't got to worry about Facebook and all the nonsense that be happening on there. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's a game changer. Um, Listen, this has been incredible, man. Like I'm so excited. I really, I'm gonna leave the door open. I would love to have you come back and share. We've got the JR72, so that's our new fasting protocol. We're gonna be launching this summer, and
Hmm.
I'm sure you've already heard about it. I've talked about it, but I'm really, really excited for that. I think that you made a really good point about the 21 day challenge when you said it's a beast, and I think people should really respect it when you're looking to do it.
Yeah.
especially if you're going to do it all the way through. It's not
Yeah.
something that you just do every other month or whatever. It's like everybody's going to have their own timing.
Hmm.
Obviously, it's okay to hit it a couple times if you're trying to get the hang of it and get it right. But if you're doing it and you're doing it to completion, yeah, I do. I look at it as a, maybe a bi-yearly or once annual thing. And that's why we filled in with some of these other challenges, because I'm looking at things like holistically. Can someone just keep doing this 21 day 3 4 times a year? No, not really. So let's give them these other options, and that's where
Hmm.
JR70 comes from. R72 comes from. Um, but make sure to hit the like button, y'all, because this was crazy. Like, y'all need to hit the like button, share this video, subscribe if you haven't already. I mean, what are you doing? We're what, 6 years in the game, almost 7 years in the game now, just delivering content, consistent. Just lock in with us, and remember, as always, the application of knowledge is power. And I will see you all next time.